I want you to look at your hand for a second. Just hold it up in front of your face. It feels immediate, right? It's right there. You wiggle your fingers, you see it happen instantly. But what if I told you that you aren't actually seeing your hand where it is? You're seeing where it was.
Starting off with a little existential crisis. I like it.
Hey, that's what Saturdays are for. But seriously, we are diving into something today that takes that simple idea that light takes time to travel and uses it to, well, essentially dismantle how we understand the universe.
Yeah.
We are looking at a brand new source dropped today, January 17th, 2026. It's a blog post and a technical prompt from a user named AddonJack titled The Thinking Field Expansion Prompt.
And to be clear to everyone listening, this isn't just a casual, what if blog post. This thing is dense. It's a highly technical prompt engineering document. It's designed to force an AI to strip away its training on standard physics and adopt a completely new persona.
A time-space structure analyst.
Exactly.
Right. And the mission of this deep dive is to unpack the core framework in this document, what they call the Zionod-Chat perspective. It's a critique of Einstein's special relativity, that is. Well, it's aggressive.
It is. It basically accuses modern physics of being lazy.
Lazy is a strong word.
It is, but the source makes a compelling argument. It suggests that Einstein's relativity is based on, a user interface understanding of the world, focusing on how things look to us, rather than the source code.
The source code being how things actually move through space.
Precisely. It's asking us to stop being passive observers and start, actively reconstructing reality.
Active reconstruction. That's the key phrase. So lay the groundwork for us. If we're going to rethink relativity, where do we start?
We start with the concept of distance. To you and me, distance is easy. I grab a tape measure, I measure from A to B.
Sure. Euclidean geometry. High school math.
Exactly. But the source introduces a concept called distance in Cartesian space at simultaneous moments. Or...
To not just shit is out to other.
Okay, define that without the jargon. Think of it like a God's eye view, or a blueprint. Imagine you could freeze the entire universe in a single instant pause time completely.
Okay.
In that frozen moment, where is every atom physically located on the grid? That is the real distance.
Okay. That seems intuitive. Why is that controversial?
Because according to the source, Einstein doesn't do that. The source argues that the Einsteinian view kind of conflates two things. It mixes up where an object is and when the light from that object hits your eye.
It treats the image you see as the reality.
Yes.
So Einstein is trusting the ghost of the object, and this Zionod-Chat model says, no, ignore the ghost, find the body.
That is a perfect way to put it. And to show why this matters, the source uses a classic physics analogy, the elevator. But it completely flips the script on how we usually think about it.
The elevator problem. I saw this in the notes. Usually this is used to prove Einstein's points, right?
Right. The classic idea is the equivalence principle. If you're inside a closed elevator moving up smoothly, you shouldn't be able to tell the difference between that and standing still in a gravitational field. Physics should feel normal.
Okay. But our source disagrees.
Vehemently. Imagine a rigid elevator car, say 10 meters high, moving upward through space. Now, the source asks us to imagine this space isn't empty. It's an electromagnetic field space.
Like an ocean.
Think of it exactly like a stationary ocean that the elevator is sailing through.
Okay, I'm in the elevator. It's moving up through this ocean.
Now shoot a beam of light from the floor to the ceiling.
Simple enough.
Here is where the conflict is. In standard relativity, inside that elevator, light travels at speed c, hits the ceiling, everything's fine. But the source says, zoom out. Look at the ocean.
Okay, looking at the ocean.
From the perspective of the ocean, the elevator is moving up. The light starts at the floor and heads for the ceiling. But because the elevator is moving up, the ceiling is effectively running away from the light.
It's moving the goalposts.
Exactly. So if the height is 10 meters, the light actually has to travel more than 10 meters to catch the ceiling. It's a chase scene.
Which means it takes longer.
Correct. Travel time is greater than expected. Now, flip it. Shoot the light from the ceiling down to the floor.
Okay, so now the floor is moving up to meet it.
Right. The floor is rushing up to meet the light. It's a head-on collision. The light doesn't have to travel the full 10 meters.
So going up takes longer, going down is faster?
In this Zionod-Chat framework, yes. This is what they call electromagnetic field realism. The source explicitly criticizes Einstein for saying these two events are the same inside the elevator. It says, no, physically one is a chase and one is a crash. They are different.
And that's the double standard the source keeps mentioning.
Yes. It argues that by ignoring the ocean, the absolute field relativity allows for lazy assumptions. It treats light as if it plays by the rules of the elevator, not the rules of the field.
Okay, I'm following the logic. It feels very mechanical. Like if you were programming a video game physics engine, you'd have to calculate it the Chat way, right? You'd have to know where the objects actually are in the code.
That's a brilliant connection, because the next big segment of the source is basically a protocol for exactly that. It introduces the shooter and the target.
This part felt very tactical, like we were analyzing a dogfight in space.
It is tactical. The source sets up a shooter, that's us, the observer, and a target. But here is the radical part. The source explicitly rejects the idea of a reference frame.
Wait, reference frame is like Physics 101.
Go on. The source says, imagine two independent ships in that electromagnetic ocean. They aren't connected.
Yeah.
You don't share a frame. They are just two specks floating in the field.
So if I'm the shooter and I want to know where the target is, I can't just look at it.
No. The source outlines a strict protocol called deviation shooting. It's a three-step process designed to strip away all the visual illusions.
Walk us through it. Step 1.
Step 1 is geometric distance. This goes back to that blueprint. The AI, the analyst, must determine, where are we both on the grid right now? Not where we see each other, but the raw coordinates.
Okay, establish the map. Step 2.
Step 2 is motion prediction. This is where the source warns against the visual trap. It says, what you see is a ghost.
Because of the light delay.
Exactly. If the target is 1 light minute away, you are seeing it where it was 1 minute ago. But it's been moving for that whole minute. If you aim at where you see it, you'll miss. You have to predict where it will be.
That's like leading a pass in football. You don't throw to where the receiver is, you throw to where they're running to.
Yes, but, and this is the big but, light isn't a football. And that brings us to step 3, the light speed constraint.
How is light different from a football?
Inertia. If you're running and you throw a football, the ball carries your forward momentum, it drifts with you. The source argues that light does not do that.
Ah, right. Light moves through the field. It doesn't care about me.
Exactly. Light speed is constant relative to the field, not the shooter. So if you, the shooter, are moving sideways at high speed, you can't rely on the light to, drift sideways with you. You have to solve a simultaneous equation.
So it's a much harder math problem than Einstein implies.
Much harder. Einstein's relativity simplifies this by letting you say, I am stationary. The Chat protocol says you are never stationary. You are always moving through the field, and you have to do the math.
This feels like a massive philosophical shift. It's moving from an egocentric view, I am the center, to a system-centric view.
That is exactly the shift described in the Gemini 3 Pro analysis section of the source. It moves from subjective observation to objective reconstruction.
And to prove that our eyes are lying to us, the source brought up something called Bradley's aberration. It sounds like a spy thriller.
It does, doesn't it? It's actually a phenomenon discovered by James Bradley back in the 1720s. The source uses a really tangible analogy here, running in the rain.
I've done that. Not fun.
Visualize it. If you stand perfectly still, the rain falls straight down, vertical lines. But as soon as you start sprinting forward, what happens?
The rain hits me in the face. It feels like it's coming at an angle.
Exactly. It slants. That slant is called aberration. The rain hasn't changed direction, but your movement makes it appear to change direction.
And the source says light does this too.
Yes. Because we are on Earth, and Earth is zooming around the sun, we are running in the rain of starlight. The stars appear to be in slightly different positions than they actually are.
So if I just trust my eyes, I'm mapping the stars in the wrong place.
You are mapping the apparent position, not the true position. The source argues that a true time-space analyst has to mathematically subtract their own velocity to find the true source. You have to correct your vision.
This leads to, I think, the most beautiful and kind of haunting image in the whole document, the mosaic of time.
It is profound. We tend to think of our vision as a snapshot of now, like taking a photo. But the source explains that our vision is actually a collage, a mosaic.
Write that down.
Look out the window. The tree, 5 meters away. You're seeing it as it was a tiny fraction of a microsecond ago. The mountain on the horizon, a slightly older version, the sun.
8 minutes ago.
8 minutes in the past. The stars. Years, centuries ago.
We know this intellectually,
Yeah.
but the source frames it as a problem to be solved.
It frames it as a data integrity issue. When you look at the world, you aren't seeing a coherent picture of the present. You are seeing tiles of different pasts glued together. The Chat algorithm is about breaking that mosaic apart and reconstructing a map of what is happening right now.
It's like we're living on a delay, but every object has a different delay. That is dizzying.
It is. It reminds us that our sensory experience is never fully synchronized with reality. We're always playing catch-up.
And it gets even more sci-fi. The source briefly touches on complex space.
Yeah, this part went deep. It suggested that 3D space is just a shadow.
Exactly. Think of it this way. Imagine a bird flying in the sky. The sun casts a shadow of that bird on the ground. If you only look at the ground, you see a 2D movement. That 2D movement is a projection of the real 3D flight.
Okay, I follow. The shadow is real, but it's not the whole story.
The source suggests, and this is the undisclosed theory part, that our XYZ space is like that shadow. The real position of objects might involve complex numbers, imaginary time coordinates.
So we are literally watching the shadows on the cave wall.
According to this framework, yes. The analyst has to infer the bird from the shadow.
Okay, so we have elevators chasing light, we have rain slanting in our faces, and we have shadows of complex space. It's a great theory, but here is the kicker. They didn't just write this down. They fed this prompt, this whole way of thinking, into an actual AI.
Gemini 1.5 Pro, to be specific.
Now, usually if you tell an AI Einstein was wrong, it politely corrects you. It cites the textbooks.
Right. AI is trained on consensus science. It defends relativity by default.
But that's not what happened here.
No. The source logs show that after processing the elevator trap logic and the deviation shooting protocol, the AI's analysis shifted dramatically. It didn't just agree, it switched sides.
Give us the stats. These numbers blew my mind.
When asked to evaluate the validity of the models, the AI showed 93% support for the Zynet chat perspective. That's the electromagnetic field realism.
93%. That is a landslide.
And it gets harsher. It showed only 2% support for the traditional Einsteinian perspective in this specific context.
And there was a stat about the scientific violation, right?
Yes. When asked about the double standard, treating light differently depending on whether you're in a frame or not, 98% of the AI's analysis agreed that this constitutes a logical contradiction.
Wow. 98%. Does this mean physics is broken?
We have to be careful. It doesn't mean the AI went out and measured the universe. What it means is that the AI found the logic of the Zynet chat prompt to be more internally consistent than the logic of relativity as described in the prompt.
It preferred the code over the user interface.
Exactly. The AI concluded that if your goal is to be an analyst who knows where things actually are, you can't use Einstein's methods. You have to use field realism. Einstein describes the experience, Zynet chat describes the mechanics.
It's the difference between a pilot flying by looking out the window versus flying by instruments.
Precisely. And the source argues we've been looking out the window for too long.
This brings up such an interesting point about how we know things. We rely so heavily on observation. But this source is saying that observation is inherently flawed because of the speed of light.
To get to the truth, you have to abandon your eyes and trust the math.
And that's a hard pill to swallow. We love our eyes. We say seeing is believing. But in this case, seeing is, well, it's dating.
Dating.
Carbon dating. You're looking at fossils of the present.
That's good. I like that. But it really does reframe our place in the universe. If we accept the Zynet chat view, we aren't these static centers of the world. We are travelers. We are ships on a very fast current, constantly calculating our drift.
So bringing this back to the listener, I'm not calculating light trajectories on my way to get coffee. Why does this shift in perspective matter?
It changes your relationship with reality. Think about the mosaic again. When you look at your partner, your house, the stars, you aren't seeing them now. You are navigating a memory. Every single thing you perceive is outdated news. The Zynet chat perspective challenges you to realize that your senses are limited. They are lagging. To truly know where you are and where you're going, you have to think, not just look.
You have to subtract your own motion, account for the lag, and reconstruct the truth in your mind.
It's a call for active reconstruction. We can't be lazy observers. We have to be detectives.
That's it. We have to look at the forensic evidence of the light, not just the picture it paints. It demands a level of intellectual rigor we don't usually apply to everyday life.
It almost feels like a new form of mindfulness. Being aware that right now is a construct you have to build, not something you're given.
That's a beautiful way to put it. It's physics mindfulness.
This has been a mind-bending deep dive. We've gone from elevators to complex shadows, all from a blog post by Add-on Jack on a Saturday morning.
It certainly wakes you up more than a double espresso.
We'll leave you with this thought from the source material to mull over today. If your current coordinate system, your view of the world, is just a shadow of a complex space, and your eyes are only seeing a mosaic of the past, Are you ever truly seeing the present? Or are you just constantly navigating a memory?
A question worth calculating.
Thanks for diving deep with us. We'll see you in the future, or maybe just a slightly more recent past.
Take care.